Hey everyone, welcome to episode 76 of Show Me How It's Done. I'm your host, Lauren Urbonis with Lauren's Scrapplot, and I am a Canadian demonstrator, so if you need anything, please don't hesitate to reach out. I'm more than happy to help. If you're watching live, hello, please feel free to comment where you're tuning in from, and if you have any questions, let me know. I'll try and answer them as we go, and if I'm in the middle of something or I don't see it, I will for sure message you after the fact as well. So I hope you guys are so excited to play with some products from our new catalog. So if you haven't seen it, this is the front cover of the new annual catalog. And last week I actually did not one, but two videos of Show Me How It's Done editions. So you can check those out and see all the new in colors that Stampin' Up! Is offering. This week, however, I would like to open the pages up to page 90 and 91 to the Sun Prints Suite. So I love blue. It's my favorite color in the world, and I was instantly drawn to the beauty of this suite. I liked the blue tones, and then as soon as I started playing, I kind of went a little crazy with vellum and white in combination with some of these papers as well. So if you're curious where I got this from, this is page 90 and 91. Here is the Sun Prints paper, so you can kind of see it up close. You can see it's just using the gray granite and Night of Navy with a few other blue tones in there. There's some Pacific Point, there's a little balmy blue, but overall really easy patterns. This is nice and nautical for you to play with and use in your projects. Now, if you're not a blue person and you're like, that doesn't really appeal to me, I have never really seen this before, but Stampin' Up! Has a whole nother set of papers that complement this suite. So you can see there was already a navy design with these dandelions. So this color is the Just Jade, and that comes in, a few different shades for you. We've got Blackberry Bliss with 3 different papers in there for you. And then we bring in our Calypso Coral. And finally, the Evening Evergreen. So, sorry, maybe this one is Soft Suede because we don't have jade anymore. They're calling it Bermuda Bay. Maybe. I don't know. Let's see here. Can we accept that? It's close. Okay. Bermuda Bay. It reminds me of jade, but anyways. So you can actually get a package that has these 4 colors in it instead or in addition to, and they go quite nicely with the navy base as well. So those are a couple options for you if you like what you see. You can always recreate these cards with those products. Now, here is our stamp set. You did see it briefly in the catalog, but I like to show it up front. I love these statements. They're very well scripted, but they're easy to read, and they're very versatile, especially this one here. So this Best Wishes and Happy Thoughts, I've actually been using quite a bit for wedding, grad, and birthday cards because basically the same sentiment can go for all 3 of those. And then there are some coordinating dies that I actually did use in the videos last week. So make sure to check those out because I used this bundle in combination with some in color paper and I made something completely different than what you saw in the catalog. So now let's play. I have some papers here that I've chopped up and I'm going to show you how to make these cards. So you can make either one or both of them today. Basically, the way that I'm going to show you how to cut this diagonal piece in the back here, it will end up making 2 triangles for you to use. So it makes the most sense for every dimension that I give you, just cut a set of 2 because you'll make 2 cards at the same time this way. Okay, so they're kind of opposites of one another. The color I've used in the background is going to be the opposite with the circles. Okay, so background and circle, background and circle. So they're basically mirror images of one another. And then you can just kind of play with different combinations of your gray granite and navy, gray granite and navy, whatever you like. So I'm only going to leave one of these, I think, up in the corner, maybe right here so you can see it. There we go. We're gonna hide it under me so you can partially see it. Okay, so if you want to follow along, you can. I have also written out all the measurements in the description of the video, so you're more than welcome to just watch and come back later. But if you want to follow along, you'll need a piece of Night of Navy, and this is going to be cut at 4 1/4 by 11, and we're putting a score mark in the middle at 5 1/2. Now, since this is open, I'm going to go ahead and do my inside piece, and that is just a piece of plain basic white, so 4 inches by 5 1/4, and that is getting attached with your choice of double-sided tape or seal, whatever you're most comfortable working with. So I like having something to write on that people can easily read. I know sometimes you can write on something this dark, but it just is a lot nicer if your recipient doesn't have to struggle to read your message. There we go. So we're going to just attach this with a nice little border all around the sides. Now, because I was trying to use every single piece of my package, so just so you know, when a new catalog comes out, demonstrators are usually allowed to order like 2 of a pack of paper. So I used every single scrap of my allotted 2 between the different events I was running. So I had some of these strips left over, and I thought, hey, I'm going to cut them down and use them just to decorate the inside of my card. So they ended up being about a 1/2 inch wide by 4 inches long is what I trimmed them to. And if you just add this to the bottom of your project, it just kind of makes it come alive teeny tiny bit. It's nothing major. It's just easy and fun. You can see I have even different widths, to be honest, on the inside of my samples. But that's why we have scraps, and it's okay. So now let's go to the front. We're going to actually do a little bit of work apart from this base here for a minute. So take that out of your workspace, and you're going to cut yourself another piece of white. So this one is once again 4 by 5 1/4, but I've used our new fern embossing folder. Do you see those gorgeous leaves on there? To make a really nice pattern on it. So this pattern is going to be visible in our top section of the card, but it makes the most sense just to do the whole paper. You don't have to worry that you're covering half of it up. Okay, and now here comes the fun part. You're going to bring a piece of your designer paper, and this is 4 by 4. So when you see it on my description, you're like, Lauren, I do not see a square on your card at all. What are you doing? So 4 by 4, and then you're going to bring in a trimmer. So don't fall in love with this. We don't sell the mini trimmers anymore, but you can actually see this in the screen, so that's why I'm using it. So 4 by 4, and we're going to cut from corner to corner. It doesn't matter which way you go. They're basically going to be the same on the front and back, unless you have a pattern. Let me just grab a sheet here. Okay, here we go. Here's an example. This is a paper from the He's the Man set. So you would really want to make sure you're cutting it at an angle that you have the pattern the right way. Okay? Otherwise, for most of it, doesn't matter because these flowers can go any which way. You're going to line up 2 of the edges, so 2 of those tips, and cut down. That leaves you with 2 identical triangles that you can now put in place here. If you want, you can turn it around, put it in place here, like so. So you have 2, one for one card, one for the other. This was just my sample to show you. I'm going to bring back my nice little stripedy piece because I like this pattern, and that's where I got the blue speckles on the other side too. Okay, so I think I'm going to use the stripes. So on the back of my triangle, making sure to get at least those 3 corners, we're going to just put some adhesive on here. And this can now be attached to my main card. Okay, so here's my white piece. I like the look of the paper down here in the bottom right. So I'm just gonna set that in place. Oops, don't move. Like this. So now I don't really like the contrast between the white and a pattern. You kind of want something to tie it together. So that's where I brought in just a strip of copper foil. I liked the copper look with the blue, but of course gold, silver, champagne, even the rose gold that we have now will also look great. So whatever you have for foils, just cut about 1/4 inch by 6 because we're putting this at an angle. So you want quite a bit of room to work with. We're going to end up trimming the edges, but you don't want to shortchange yourself. Okay, so I've put just a little bit of tape on the back here. I'm going to take that off and I'm going to make a bridge between my two pieces. And hopefully you can see it just really ties what you're doing together, and it will kind of solidify even more once we put that on the base. Okay, so turn this over and you can clearly just see tiny little bits that need trimming on the back. So with your little scissors, you can trim those quite easily. You could grab a trimmer if you're a little uncertain, but I find just using the paper as a little border, it should be fine. So this is turned over at the moment. Let's add some adhesive to that. Once again, I'm just using a flat adhesive, so double-sided tape or seal. Putting that on all 4 of the corners. And then we will attach this to the front of our card. And I love how it doesn't really matter which side of the fern you use. You can either get the plants kind of coming out at you or this almost like fossilized look. So my boys are really into dinosaurs. I kind of want to play around with maybe some like fossil techniques with this folder for them. So here you go. Just make sure you're opening the right way so that you're happy and not sad about this. And put your card on the front of that base. So it's fun, it looks great, but we need some decor. So what I grabbed is we have some new little shape dies right here. So here's the whole set. These guys can be found on page 175 and they're called Stylish Shapes. So the difference between these and our stitched shapes, since I know some of you were asking, is that this opposite side actually does stitching too. So when you cut out the shape, you get stitching on the inside shape, such as my circle here. There's stitching on there, but the negative also has stitching. So you could use that as the accent for your cards as well. Also, there's some really cute little banners that I like using. So a really nice shape set. It comes with all of these dies in one, so you don't have to buy them individually. And I used the second largest of the circles for this one. So I'm just going to pop this up on dimensionals, and that can go in the bottom left hand of my card. Okay, so this just can go right, you know, it doesn't have to go right to the bottom, but just somewhere in there. Okay, so I used all sorts of patterns from my package. This is one of the dandelion pieces as opposed to those speckles. So don't worry, it's a little different and I'm fine with that. So I decided I was going to do a bunch of the prep work ahead of time because I figured you guys don't need to sit here and watch me do all this, but you will need to stamp the set of leaves onto vellum and then emboss it with white embossing powder. Stamp the fern leaf onto gray granite, or if you prefer, you can do the Night of Navy card. So those are interchangeable. and emboss it with white, and pick your sentiment and put it either onto gray granite or navy. Okay, so all three of those are embossed with white embossing powder, and I just had a little too much fun with that. So when you're ready to go, we're gonna grab first your large die piece here. And this one I'm going to end up leaving unattached here. So all you're gonna do is grab this, put it into place, and put a piece of tape over the bottom of the stem. You don't have to attach it in a fancy way. This is getting hidden behind your sentiment, so you don't really need to do anything else. And I kind of think it just brings it to life a little bit. So however you want, just attach that to your card. Now, whichever way you've done your fern, whether it's on navy or gray granite, this comes next. We are going to pop this one up on dimensionals. So grab a few of those, and we're going to put that on dimensionals beside this large leaf. Okay, so this just kind of goes at a little angle, whatever works for you, and you can attach it like so. Now, the last piece is our little sentiment here. And because we don't want our sentiment to kind of be lopsided, you're only going to put a couple dimensionals onto, where did I put them? I think I just put them onto the bottom of this designer paper here. Okay, that'll be enough to hold your sentiment. You can also just put a little bit of tape here for it to attach to. Take those backings off. And then you can add this to your card. So it does look, I think what I did was I went opposites typically. So if I had the gray tag, I went with a gray fern and that way. But I don't know, this was the one I have on hand, so we'll try it. Gray on gray is fine too. And I wanted to do a little bit of decorating. So I grabbed some rhinestones here. And on the gray, I just used plain old rhinestones. So 1, 2, oops, and 3. But if you're working on the navy, it does look really nice if you use champagne rhinestones instead. And if you don't own champagne rhinestones, here's a little trick. You can take your bronze blends marker, or now that we have all of the other natural tones, you can use any of those, and you can color your rhinestone. This will dry within a few seconds, and then you'll have a set of champagne rhinestones without owning champagne rhinestones. So I don't know how well you can see it, but they did turn a little bit of brown. They look like this, and they're just really nice. So here is your 2 kind of reverse cards. And then of course you can mix and match whatever papers you have on hand too. So there you go. I hope you guys enjoyed today's project, and I hope that if you haven't, you'll like and subscribe to the channel so you can see every week when I post a new video. I will have lots more cards and projects for you coming up, so I will see you next Tuesday. Bye.